Alright, let's get started. Today we're going to solve radical equations and inequalities. This is Chapter 6, Section 4, Day 1. First we're going to start off simple. We want to get the radical on a side by itself, so that way we can then get rid of the radical. So first we're going to divide by 2. So we have the square root of x plus 2 equals 4. Simply square both sides. X plus 2 equals 16. And then x equals 14. Down here we're going to add 4 to both sides, so we're left with the cubed root of 4x equals 6. Going to cube both sides, 4x equals 216. And then x equals 54. Same thing over here, we're left with the cubed root. The cubed root of 2x minus 5 equals 5. Cube both sides, 2x minus 5 equals 125. 2x equals 130. X equals 65. Down here we're just going to add 2/3 to both sides. And then square both sides. We're left with 2x equals 4/9. We're going to multiply each side by a half, same as dividing by 2. We're left with x equals 4/18, which simplifies to 2/9. Moving on here, because we already have the radical on a side by itself, we're going to start by simply squaring both sides. So we have 2x plus 7, and then we have to FOIL this side, so we have x squared minus 8x plus 16. We get everything over to the right. We have x squared minus 10x plus 9. This factors into x minus 9, x minus 1. X equals 9 and 1. At this point we need to check our answers, because when we square an entire equation like this, occasionally we get extraneous solutions. So we need to go through. So if we plug in 9, we get 2 times 9 is 18 plus 7 is 25. So we have the square root of 25 equals 9 minus 4, which is 5. 5 equals 5. That's true, so we know that x does in fact equal 9. We can check and see if 1 works. We have the square root of 9 on the left equals -3. This will not work because we'll get 3 equals -3, which is not true. So 1 is not a valid solution. Over here we're going to do the same thing, square both sides. We're left with 2x plus 30 equals x squared plus 6x plus 9. Once again, we move everything to one side. We have x squared plus 4x minus 21. This factors into x plus 7 and x minus 3. So x equals -7 and 3. Once again, we have to plug those back into our original equation and double check our answers. In this case, the only solution that works for us is going to be x equals 3. Because if you use -7 on the right-hand side, you're going to have -4. Never can you take the square root and end up with a negative number. This is simply a word problem. We're looking for the air pressure at the center. P is the air pressure in this equation, so we're going to substitute 46.2 in for our V of P equals 6.3 times the square root of 1013 minus P. We're going to divide by 6.3. We're left with 22/3 equals square root of 1013 minus P. We can square both sides. We get 484/9 equals 1013 minus P. And then P equals 8,633 over 9, or 959.22, and that is in millibars. To solve this problem, we want to add the second radical to both sides, so we have the square root of 3x minus 3 equals the square root of x plus 12. From here, we can simply square both sides. We're left with 3x minus 3 equals x plus 12. This simplifies to 2x equals 15. Two x equals 15, so x equals 15 halves. Over here, we're going to want to square both sides, but when we do this, we have to FOIL out our left side, and so we have x plus 6 plus x plus 6 plus 2 times the square root of x plus 6 plus 1 equals 7 minus x. We're going to leave our term with the radical on the left side. We're going to move everything else over to the right side. So we're left with negative 2x. Divide by this leading term here. Left with the square root of x plus 6 equals negative x. At this point, we're just going to square both sides. X plus 6 equals x squared. 0 equals x squared minus x minus 6. This factors into x minus 3, x plus 2. So we're left with x equals 3 and negative 2. Once again, we need to check our solutions to see if they work. In this case, 3, if we plug back in, we get the square root of 9, which is 3, plus 1. Is 4, and then we're left with the square root of 4, so that does not work. And then negative 2 is going to work out for us. So the answer is just x equals negative 2. This is just another example, just like the previous one. So we can square both sides. So we're going to FOIL out our left side. So we're left with 3x minus 8 plus 2 square roots of 3x minus 8 plus 1 equals x plus 5. Once again, we're going to get our term with our radical on the left and move everything else over to the right. We're left with negative 2x plus 12. Divide by 2. Square root of 3x minus 8 equals negative x plus 6. We're going to square both sides. 3x minus 8 equals x squared minus 12x plus 36. X squared minus 15x plus 44. This is going to factor into x minus 11, x minus 4. So x equals 4 and 11. Once again, we need to check our answers. I'll let you guys do that. The only one that works is x equals 4. 11 will not work. It is an extraneous solution. This problem, we're going to take both sides to the fourth power. So we're left with 3 minus 8x squared equals, make sure we raise our 2 to the fourth, 16x to the fourth. So 0 equals 16x to the fourth plus 8x squared minus 3. At this point, you can factor or use the system taught as my father drives a red Mustang. I'm going to factor this into 4x squared minus 1 times 4x squared plus 3. This gives us x squared equals 1/4, or x equals 1/2. And this gives you x squared equals negative 3/4. We cannot take the square root of a negative, so this is not our solution, so we're left with x equals 1/2. Okay, whenever we have something like this, first off we want to move our 2 to the other side. So we're left with 3x to the 3/4 equals 27. Now in order to get rid of this 3/4, we're going to raise this entire side to the 4/3 power. Because now when we do 3/4 to the 4/3, you multiply, and so you get 12 over 12, which is 1. So we're just left with 3x to the first power, which is just 3x, equals 27 to the 4/3. And we get that x equals 27. Moving on, in this case, all we're going to do is square both sides, because to the 1/2 is simply taking the square root. We're left with x plus 12 equals x squared. This factors into 0, equals x squared minus x minus 12, which is x minus 4, x plus 3. So we're left with x equals 4 and x equals negative 3. Once again, we have to check our answers. The only one that works here is 4. Negative 3 is an extraneous solution. Here, the first thing you want to do is divide by 4. Now that we have the term that is taken to the 3/2 power, we can take both sides to the 2/3 power, at which point our answer is x equals 4. Down here, we're going to move our 2x to the other side, and then we're just going to square both sides. Make sure you square the entire term on the right. So we're left with 5 minus x equals 4x squared. This is going to factor into 4x plus 5 and x minus 1. So we're left with x equals negative 5/4 and x equals 1. Negative 5/4 is an extraneous solution, so our answer is x equals 1. And that's all. Yay, math.